Imagine stepping outside and immediately hitting a wall of heat. The air is still, and the thermometer reads above 45 degrees Celsius. Breathing feels heavy. At these temperatures, the physical environment starts to break down. The heat radiating off the ground is so intense that the asphalt stretches and melts right under the tires of passing cars. This severe heat recently blanketed a massive portion of the continent. Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Greece, Germany, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom all recorded extreme, dangerously high temperatures simultaneously. A spike in daytime heat is difficult, but the real danger lies in duration. During a prolonged heat wave, the daytime highs stay elevated for weeks, and the nights remain exceptionally warm. Your body never gets a chance to cool down and recover. Historically, European architecture and public infrastructure were designed to retain heat for cold winters, not to deflect extreme summer sun. Homes and hospitals simply lack the built-in cooling systems needed to handle this kind of thermal load. So why is Europe suddenly experiencing temperatures that push human endurance to the absolute brink? And how is this extreme weather dictating the daily survival of millions? When the environment offers zero relief, individual physiology takes a massive hit. The elderly, very young children, and those with chronic illnesses find themselves trapped in their own homes, entirely reliant on small fans that do little against temperatures in the mid-40s. That individual struggle quickly cascades into a systemic crisis. During the prolonged heat, hospitals filled rapidly with thousands of patients suffering from severe dehydration and life-threatening heat stroke. This map illustrates the primary meteorological culprit, a massive high-pressure weather system, commonly known as a heat dome, positioned directly over Europe. It acts exactly like a lid on a boiling pot. The high pressure pushes air downward, trapping it under clear, cloudless skies. With each passing day and night, the sun bakes the trapped air, forcing the temperature higher and higher while physically blocking cooler weather fronts from moving in. For a vulnerable person without air conditioning, this atmospheric trap means a typical hot summer afternoon turns into an inescapable medical emergency that lasts for weeks. Outside the cities, the agricultural sector faces total collapse. Farmers are forced to watch entire harvests wither in the fields, their crops decimated by extreme heat stress and severe drought conditions. This agricultural ruin is accelerated by a second major factor. Powerful wind currents sweep across the Mediterranean, pulling extremely dry, superheated air directly from the Sahara Desert into southern and western Europe. As this Saharan air makes landfall, it aggressively strips any remaining moisture out of the soil and vegetation. Forests and farm fields are effectively baked dry. The result is explosive. Across Greece, Spain, and Portugal, perfectly dried tinder ignited into massive, fast-moving wildfires that consumed thousands of acres of forest, wildlife habitats, and residential neighborhoods. The loss of these harvests and the destruction of arable land will shrink agricultural production, lower yields, and drive up food prices in grocery stores far beyond Europe's borders. Back in the urban centers, the heat strains every piece of physical infrastructure. Power grids are pushed past their limits as millions turn on air conditioning simultaneously, while outdoor laborers face brutal, physically unsafe working conditions under direct sunlight. At the same time, rapid evaporation and severe drought drop reservoirs and rivers to critically low levels, forcing regional authorities to enforce strict water usage restrictions on millions of citizens. While it is true that no single heat wave is caused solely by climate change, human activities, specifically the burning of coal, oil, and natural gas, have radically shifted the baseline of our atmosphere. This chart compares two distinct historical trends: the global average temperature increase versus the temperature increase specific to Europe. You can clearly see Europe's line breaking away and climbing much steeper, indicating the continent is warming significantly faster than the rest of the world. Our energy grids, our water reserves, and our agricultural practices are cracking because they were engineered for a mild, stable climate that no longer exists. Without immediate, massive reductions in global greenhouse gas emissions, scientists project that these intense, prolonged heat waves will become the standard European summer. Surviving this requires immediate personal adaptation. People must actively prioritize regular hydration, avoid going outside during peak daylight hours, and most importantly, check in on elderly neighbors and family members who cannot cope with the heat alone. On a macro level, local governments have to heavily reinforce their emergency healthcare services and implement faster, more aggressive early warning systems to alert the public before a heat dome settles in. Cities must physically adapt by rapidly expanding green spaces and planting dense tree canopies. These shaded areas naturally combat urban heat traps, drastically lowering the ground temperature compared to exposed concrete. Ultimately, to prevent these extremes from worsening, national governments must aggressively transition away from fossil fuels, completely integrating clean energy and sustainable public transportation into the economy. The recent conditions across Europe serve as a final physical warning. Climate change is a present reality, testing the limits of human resilience daily and demanding immediate adaptation to ensure our survival.